All right, so yeesh. All right, so we are back. I'm gonna start all over again. For some reason, my machine rebooted on me. Damn, Windows updates. Crazy. Let's give it a few before I start all over again. All right. Damn, I'm so sorry about that. Windows updates. Gotta love them and you gotta hate them at the same time. So hopefully you guys are able to hear me. Uh, welcome back. All right, so let's start all over again. Welcome back to the server room, episode 72. Let's go straight right into it, right? First things first, big shout out to Norman DH for the super chat on the last live stream. Just want to show you some love. Appreciate the love. Thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you. Much appreciated. All right, so let's get right into the desktop. Let's continue what we was doing. And I'm gonna start all over. I have 3 virtual machines. I have a domain controller. I have my System Center Virtual Machine Manager, which is going to house the System Center Virtual Machine Manager software. And I am going to install the database SQL Server 2022. And I have a Hyper-V machine, which I'm going to install Hyper-V Server 2022, as well as the multi-path input and output feature on this server. So within my System Center Virtual Machine Manager, I already have the SQL Server ISO image already mounted. So I'm going to go into the File Explorer, going to right click on the D drive, and I'm going to select Install or Run Program from Media. Going to get the user account control, so I'm going to click yes here. I'm going to close the File Explorer. Man, I can't believe I got caught with Windows updates. Let's go into installation. And again, I'm going to show my face because I don't want to click on, I need to click on the new SQL Server standalone installation. But once the wizard loads up, it's going to load up the product key. I don't want you guys to know the product key. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to select I have a SQL Server license only and then click on next. Once I click next, you're going to get that license and terms agreement. So accept it, click next there. It's going to do a pre-check. I'm not going to use Microsoft updates to check for updates. Click next, it would take forever. It's going to check for the installation setup files. So once that's completed, it's going to bypass that. Excellent. We're only going to install the database engine service. Click next here. Damn, I'm telling you, man, worst time. And I checked for Windows updates before I even started, and everything looked okay. So I might have to look into the event logs to see what happened, why this machine rebooted. For the instant, we're not going to rename it. We're going to leave it as is. So click next here. Come on. I just want to start the installation, and then while that's installing, we're going to jump into the Hyper-V, and the Hyper-V has a couple of hard drives that I have. I think I have 5 gig hard drives, so we're going to convert them into a GPT partition and then create a RAID 5 using Windows Server RAID software. So from here, we're going to select automatic. I'm gonna leave everything as the default. I've seen a couple of people actually change this to Active Directory user accounts because this is a testing environment. I'm not gonna do that, but a lot of people like to change the account name to an Active Directory with an account that's just designed for the server agent as well as the database agent. For this video, I'm gonna leave everything as the default. The only thing that I'm going to change is the startup type for the agent to go to automatic. We're going to click next here. I'm going to do a mix mode. The mix mode actually enables the SA, which is the system admin account. So let's give it a password. Excellent. Awesome. I'm going to add the current user here, which is how I'm logged in. I'm going to click next here. It's ready to install. Click install. It's going to start installing and we should be good to go. Again, I'm so sorry. I got cut out on the first time that I started the live stream. Again, my machine rebooted on me. So let this install. Awesome. We're going to head over to the Hyper-V. Boom. And within the Hyper-V, I'm going to right click on the start menu and I'm going to go into Disk Manager. As soon as I do Disk Manager, it should prompt me for this, initialize this. And the reason why is because this Hyper-V, if I go into settings, I actually gave it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hard drive virtual disks, all 5 gigs. That's the reason why when I went into the disk manager. This is the reason why when I went into the disk manager, initialized disk wizard popped up because it saw these 5 guys here. All 5 of them are selected, which is great. I am going to use a GPT partition. I'm going to click OK here. Let's open this up. All 5 of them are unallocated. We are going to, I think I'm able to select all of them. Nope, I'm not. So we're going to right click on one of them. We're going to do, actually, let's do a new RAID 5 volume. That's what we want. Let's click next. Excellent. We want all these. So I'm going to hold the shift key, select 2 to 5, and let's add it to your right. We're going to click next here. Let's give it V for virtual machine, because that's where we're going to install our virtual machine, right? We're going to click next here. Let's give it a name of VMs. Let's perform a quick format. Let's click next, click finish. And what does it say? Let's zoom in real quick. It says the operation you selected will convert the selected basic disk or disk to dynamic disk or disk. If you convert the disk or disk to dynamic, you will not be able to start install operating systems from any other volume disk. That's okay. Let's click yes here. I'm not going to really install an operating system on it. All right, so that's doing its thing. Let's head over to the System Center Virtual Machine Manager. It is still installing the SQL. I think the only thing I do not like about SQL right now, I don't know when Microsoft decided to do this. I feel like it was maybe 2016, SQL 2016, when they stopped installing the SQL Management Studio. There used to be an option during the wizard. It allows you to select it, and it, you know, the Management Studio gets installed at the same time. Now, you actually have to click on a link and it takes you online to download the exe. And once you have it downloaded, you got to install it. So it's really weird how Microsoft does things. So it's still installing. Let's head over to the Hyper-V. Okay, boom. Our RAID 5 system is completed. It is V as, no, I picked V for virtual machine, where you're able to pick whatever you want. So let's click here. There goes the V drive, our RAID. So our V drive is where we're going to install our virtual machines. Cool. So we created our RAID. Let's close this up. Let's click on start. Let's open up the server manager. And again, we're going back and forth a lot today. Even though on the title it says System Center Virtual Machine Manager, but I have to actually have a Hyper-V server for me to add a host within System Center Virtual Machine Manager. So let's head back over here. It is still doing the SQL. Come on. Once this is done, I'm gonna move this to the side. Once this is done, come on, move to the side. You see this guy right here? No, actually, this guy. Install SQL Server Management Tools. You would think if you click on this hyperlink, it will launch a wizard and install it. No, if you click on this, it actually launches the browser and it takes you to a website to download the Management Studio exe file. I already did that behind the scenes. So it's one less that one less thing that we have to wait for. So if I go inside the downloads folder, here goes the System Center, SQL Management Studio setup. So once this is completed, we go into the downloads folder and install that. It's almost done, which is great. Boom, I gotta constantly monitor because I really don't know why it rebooted on me. It's really weird. Okay, let's head over to Hyper-V, and within here, we're going to click on Manage, Add Roles and Features. Let's click on Next here, Next here, Next. Now, it's a couple of things that we need. One, Hyper-V. Definitely need Hyper-V. Once you click on it, it wants you to add additional features that are required for Hyper-V to be installed properly, and it also allows you to, manage Hyper-V. So these are the features that are required. I'm gonna click Add Features. Boom. And yes, let's click Next here. For the features, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I am going to check off multipath input and output. The reason why I am installing this feature is because I noticed when you're trying to add a Hyper-V node into System Center Virtual Machine Manager, it provides you a warning because the Hyper-V Manager does not have multipath input and output installed. So installing it kind of bypasses that warning. So let's click Next here. Click Next here. I already have, within my Hyper-V, I have two virtual NICs. One is BTNHD network and the other one is Hyper-V network. So I'm going to select the Hyper-V network. We're going to click Next here. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do the migration. For the default location for the virtual hard disk would be that RAID that we created together. So let's select B. Boom. Awesome. Let's click Next here. Let's do restart the destination server automatically if required. I think you do need to reboot the server because of Hyper-V. We're going to click yes on that. Let's click install. That's installing the Hyper-V and the multipath input and output. Again, the only reason why I'm doing the Hyper-V, even though that the title of the episode says install System Center Virtual Machine Manager, is because once we get Virtual Machine Manager up and running, I want to, add a Hyper-V host into System Center Virtual Machine Manager, right? All right, so that's going to install. Let's head back into here. Our database is done. We're going to close it. Beautiful. We can't really check it because we don't have Management Studio. So like I said before, if you click on this, it will launch your default browser and it's going to want you to download and install the management tools. You would think Microsoft would be nice enough to actually have it embedded into this ISO and it will install as soon as you click on it, give you a nice little wizard and just click next, but it doesn't do that. Damn you, Microsoft. So let's close this up. It's cleaning up. We're going to open up the File Explorer. Like I said before, I already downloaded the Management Studio. So I'm going to select it, right click on it, run it as an administrator, and we're going to install the Management Studio on here. Now, I'm just dealing with the database part for System Center Virtual Machine Manager. Once we get this up and running, there is a PowerShell script that I found somewhere and I forgot where I found it because I would like to give the person credit because I didn't create it. And it's a pretty cool PowerShell script. So I just clicked install. I'm going to close the File Explorer over here. It's going to load the packages. Now, this PowerShell script actually grabs all the requirements needed, like the .NET Framework, Windows ADK, Windows PE. What else? It downloads other MSI and EXE files needed for System Center Virtual Machine Manager, and it installs it for you. And then all you have to do is just mount your System Center Virtual Machine Manager ISO, extract the installation files, and start the installation. So it's a pretty cool script, which I will add into my GitHub repo so you guys can get a copy of it. All right, so that's installing. Let's head over to Hyper-V. Hyper-V is rebooting. Grab some water. So Hyper-V right now, I think it finished or it's finishing up the reboot or it's rebooting because we just install Hyper-V Manager and multi-path input and output into it, which is great. Let's head over here. This is installing Management Studios, so we're looking good. Now, to prepare myself for the next step, because once Management Studio is up and running, we need PowerShell. So I'm going to click on the Start menu. I'm going to right-click on Windows PowerShell ISE. I'm going to go to More, and I'm going to run it as an administrator because I'm going to be needing that. Let's click Yes here. I'm going to let that load up. Awesome. Come on. Awesome. Let's bring yep. Let's open this guy up. Excellent. We are going, get out of here. Make it a little bigger. That's good. All right, let's minimize this. This is installing. Let's go to Hyper-V. Hyper-V looks like it's done. Let's log into our Hyper-V server. Okay, let's go back into our system center. It looks like it's finishing up. Beautiful. Let's get into our Hyper-V. Again, we're going back and forth like crazy today. So let's click on Start. Let's go into the Windows Administrative Tools. I'm going to right click on the Hyper-V Manager. I'm going to go to More and I'm going to pin it to the taskbar. Nice little shortcut. Click on it. It's going to launch up. Beautiful. We have our Hyper-V. There it goes. There goes our Hyper-V. If we select Hyper-V settings, beautiful. V drive, beautiful. Good, 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 good. All right, so our Hyper-V is set up. We created a RAID 5 partition. You know, we have 5 virtual hard disks. We took those 5 virtual hard disks, we converted them into a GPT partition. Once we created that partition, we created a RAID 5 out of all those 5 virtual disks using Windows Server RAID software, which is already embedded within the operating system. And that gave us 20 gigs. Not bad. Okay. So let's close this up. Let's head into our System Center Virtual Machine Manager. The SQL stuff is still installing. It is almost done. I am waiting for this to complete because I want to launch Management Studio. I want to log into it and I want to make sure that the agent and the database is visible. You're able to go inside services to check if the agent is running, which is great. That's another way, but I like to open up the Management Studio to just check and make sure that I'm able to see everything. So it's completed. Awesome. So let's close this up. Let's click on Start. And let's go into Microsoft SQL Server 2022. No, it's this one. This is what I want. Let's right click. Let's go to More and pin it to the taskbar. Beautiful. Let's move this here. Let's launch it. Come on. Come on. There it goes. All right, with SQL Server 2022, I learned if you click on connect, it's going to error out. So you got to make sure you check off trust server certificate and then click on connect and then it will go through. Yeah, 2022 is locked down pretty tight with a lot of new security features. So that is a quick tip. If you forget to uncheck trust server certificate, it will error out regardless if you're using an account that has permissions to load up the database. So database right now, we don't have any databases in here other than these. These are the ones that come in when you install the server. The reason why I'm showing you this is because when we install Virtual Machine Manager, it creates a virtual database. So right now we don't have anything. So let's minimize this. Let's open up our PowerShell because we already had it open. Let's click on File. Let's click on Open. And let's go into the desktop because the desktop I have this configure System Center Virtual Machine Manager core requirements. So we're going to select open. There you go. So like I said before, I really forgot where I got this PowerShell script, but it is really cool. It creates a temp folder. I'm gonna go into Explorer. Let's eject this. I don't need this anymore. Bye bye. Let's go into the C drive. Now, inside the C drive, I don't have a temp folder, but this PowerShell script is going to create a temp folder, and inside that temp folder, it is going to download the exe files that we need. Now, I'm showing you inside the C drive, there's no temp folder. So we're going to actually, let me make this a little smaller. Boop, 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 boop. There you go. And where are you? Yeah. So line 71, 1 through 71, I'm going to run it in one shot because 1 through 71, what it does is it defines a bunch of variables. It assigns the temp folder. It's going to create the temp folder if it's not located. There's going to be a couple of variables that are assigned to the URL for the exe files to download, and then a bunch of other color things that they set within this PowerShell script. They are utilizing the local administrator. From here, they are going to create the temp folder, and then lines 60 to 65, they're going to use the PowerShell commandlet of invoke web request. And the variable that they define up top is where the URL of the exe, and it's going to download it into the temp folder. This is a pretty cool script. It's pretty awesome. So I have 1 through 71 highlighted. I am going to run it. Like I said before, inside the C drive, there's no temp folder. But once I run these 71 commands, it is going to, create the temp folder, and it's going to start downloading those MSI and exe files. Now, you could run everything manually, which I've done, or you could just continue with line 72 and all the way down. It's going to install everything for you. You are required to reboot your machine once everything is installed. Now, the PowerShell script at the very end does have an option to reboot, which is pretty awesome. So let's go inside the file share. Temp folder was created. Awesome. Double click inside the temp folder, and you're going to see ADK, Windows PE, ODBC for SQL, the Visual C 64 and 86. You got a lot. Everything is here that you need for System Center Virtual Machine Manager, which is pretty cool. So what I did was I like to run everything one by one. So I'm going to install the Microsoft Visual C++ 86 first. So all you got to do is just click on it, highlight that line, and it's going to install for you. You could run everything in one shot, but when I ran the script, for some reason, it prematurely rebooted, and the Windows PE and the Windows ADK did not get installed properly. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm running everything individually, because when I ran it the first time, Visual C++, the 86 to 64 got installed. The ODBC drivers for SQL got installed. Everything else got installed, but it rebooted prematurely to the point, see? It rebooted prematurely, and this is what happened. Yeah, it just restarted prematurely. That the PowerShell script doesn't even allow you to run and install everything. So that means I have to open up the PowerShell again and run everything. Again, Once it downloads all the exe files, you could just manually do it yourself. You don't need to use the PowerShell script. That's really up to you. And I might just do that, just go inside that temp folder and just run everything manually. But lines 1 through 71 it's golden. I love it because it downloads everything for you. If you don't want to use the PowerShell beyond line 71 to install it, because look, as soon as you do it, it's gonna reboot. It won't finish the way it's supposed to finish. So once this loads up, I'm gonna log into this server and I'm going to go inside the C drive temp folder and I'm just gonna manually install everything and then just continue from there. I'm not gonna use the PowerShell. I am gonna provide the PowerShell script for you guys so you play around with it and see if you could get it to work the way it's supposed to work, but it just reboots prematurely. All right, so let's wait until this is done. Hyper-V is good. Come on. Oh my God, the wait is just crazy. What's up? What's up, Flip? All right, so let's log into our System Center Virtual Machine Manager. I'm just gonna call it Virtual Machine Manager. But like every time I'd say the entire thing like System Center Virtual Machine Manager, I feel like I'm advertising for Microsoft. All right, this is loading up. I'm going to open up the File Explorer. I'm not going to deal with the PowerShell script. Let's just go into the C drive. Let's double click on temp. And I think the 86-bit, let's do everything again. So it's already installed. So let's close that. Let's click on 64. It's already installed. Let's close that. Let's do the SQL one. This is the command line utility for version 15. Let's click next. I'm going to do everything manually because the damn thing prematurely. Click yes here. And click finish. All right, so good question, Flip. So far what we've done is we're installing System Center Virtual Machine Manager version 2022. For those that are joining, I'm gonna give you a quick recap of what's going on. We're installing Virtual Machine Manager version 2022. We already set up a Hyper-V manager within our Hyper-V server. We install multi-path input and output. We created a nice little GPT partition with 5 virtual disks, and we converted it into a RAID 5, giving us 20 gigs. And we assigned the letter of the V for virtual machine. Now that V is actually assigned to be the dump zone of our Hyper-V. So V drive, and we created a RAID 5 system right here with 5 disks. Okay. On our System Center, within our System Center Virtual Machine Manager, we installed the database SQL Server 2022. We just downloaded all the prerequisites of System Center. We're installing everything to start the installation for Virtual Machine Manager. Cool. So we already did the command line. We're going to install this right here, which is the ODBC. Because the higher version, okay, good. All right, we already have a higher version of it, so we don't have to worry. Let's right click, run as an administrator. We're going to install the ADK. Click yes here. We're going to click next here. No, next. Click accept. I'm going to check everything off. The 3 that I just enabled, oh crap, you guys aren't even watching it. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah. So we just launched the SQL command line that installed the OBS. This didn't install because I already have the latest and greatest, so I bypassed that. I just launched the ADK setup. I enabled the application compatibility tools, also the volume activation management tools, and the media experience analyzer. Those three, I just checked them off. You don't really need them for this, but I just checked them off just for the hell of it. So I'm going to click install. It's going to start installing. All right, so I gotta, while that's installing, let's answer a couple of questions. Is VM Manager pretty fun to mess with? Yeah, it is. It's a pretty cool utility. It allows you, if you're using Hyper-V, it allows you to manage your Hyper-V servers. It even allows you to manage your VMware servers as well. One of the cool things about Virtual Machine Manager is SDN, software defined networking. That's pretty cool. I think that's the reason why I'm getting back into Virtual Machine Manager, because I want to play around with software defined networking within that infrastructure. I did it many, 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 many years ago, but SDN has evolved throughout these years. So I just want to play around and check it out. Now, Flip, why aren't you running PowerShell? Yes, you could do everything within PowerShell. You're able to install all the features. I'm able to do everything within PowerShell, but sometimes, doing everything manually in old school, it's best practice than doing it in PowerShell. That's the reason why I'm doing it this way. I like doing it this way. I am able to script everything and install Hyper-V and install multi-path input and output, install all these utilities using PowerShell. Again, there is a PowerShell script that I was showing you guys at the very beginning, but this PowerShell script, I didn't create it. I found it somewhere. I don't remember where I found it, because I would definitely give credit to the person who created it. It's a pretty cool PowerShell script that downloads all the requirements needed to get Virtual Machine Manager up and running, and it does everything for you. The only problem is it prematurely reboots during one of the installations, so it needs to be modified and fixed, but whatever. I started with this, but because it rebooted on me, I just went inside the temp folder and I'm doing everything manually. All right, so right now we're installing Windows ADK. We're almost done. So right now we're just waiting until this completes for us to install our Windows PE. So I'm going to disappear, mute myself, because, if you guys have any questions or comments, shoot it up on the chat and I will try to answer them. All right, so it looks like it's done. Awesome. Let's close it. Let's click on ADK WinPE, right click on it, run it as an administrator. Click yes for the user account control. Yes, I want to leave it there. Click next. No, click next here. Accept the license and terms. Yes, and click install. Awesome. Now, once the ADK WinPE is completed, that installation is done, we're going to do we're going to do a reboot on the machine. Once we do a reboot on the machine, we're going to mount our System Center Virtual Machine Manager ISO image into this virtual machine. Start the installation. As soon as you start the installation, it's going to want to extract the installation files somewhere. So then we are able to start the installation. It's weird. But yeah, let's wait until this Windows PE stuff is installed and we will continue. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions, leave it at the chat. Don't forget about hitting that like button and subscribe. Share the video out. I'm trying to hit that 100K subscribe goal, so I get that nice little plaque for you guys. And that's it. So I'm going to disappear and mute, and I'll catch you when this is done. All right, so we're almost done, 88%. It looks like Mr. Flip has a question. Thank you for sending questions out. Keep the live stream lively while we watch paint dry. I know. So what type of mic I have? This is a Rode, Rode. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Podcaster mic. This mic was the original mic that I used in season 1 when I started this whole the server room live stream. So this is the mic that I'm using. I have um, a Q1202 USB Benhinger mixer. I think that's how you say his name. That's hooked up to that. USB cable is hooked up to the laptop, which is actually capturing the audio and the visuals that we are seeing now, right? So that's what I'm using. Let's click close. That's done. We installed everything. Again, like I said before, there is a PowerShell script, and I'm going to show you guys the PowerShell script real quick. Let's click on edit. And like I said, the PowerShell, damn, I really forgot where I found this PowerShell script because I definitely want to give that person a shout out because he did a really good job. So we're just going to go over it real fast. There it goes. Yeah. So this is the PowerShell script. I'm going to zoom in real quick. I do need to do a reboot, but I want to show you guys the PowerShell script. Like we went over the first couple of lines, 1 through 71. This right here will define the locations of all the MSI exe files that you need. It creates the temp folder. It does some fancy text on the command prompt with different colors and stuff. It pulls all those exe and MSI files down into a temp folder inside the C drive. Once it does that, it goes inside the C drive temp folder and it starts installing all the stuff. But again, I found it kind of weird because when you start running, it prematurely reboots when it gets to the 64-bit and then it basically stops. So you might have to rearrange what gets installed first and last. But this is a PowerShell script. It's really, really good PowerShell script, right? Once everything is done, it actually cleans everything up. It removes all the exe files from the temp folder, and then it waits around a couple of seconds, and then it reboots the server, and then you're good to go. Now, I'm going to manually reboot. I will provide the PowerShell script for you guys at my repo. It kind of sucks. I don't recall who did the PowerShell script to give them credit. I'm not gonna say I did this PowerShell script because this is well detailed and it's nice. It's nice. So we're going to close. We're going to do a reboot because we just installed Windows ADK, Windows PE, ODBC. We also installed SQL command line utilities version 15. We installed Visual Studios X64 and 86. And that's all the stuff that we need to have System Center Virtual Machine Manager installed properly with no problem. So our database is already good to go. We're doing one final reboot. Once the reboot is done, we're going to log into the server. We're going to mount our System Center Virtual Machine Manager ISO image into this machine, and we're going to continue. All right, so used to, oh, nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thank you for the support. Yeah, the upgrading the SCCM stuff, you'd be surprised. A lot of companies are using SCCM. Um, and they've never used SCCM. They used to use MDT because MDT used to be the bomb. Like, come on, a free utility that allows you to deploy operating systems for free. It did have some limitations, yes, but you were able to deploy for free, for free. And Microsoft took that away from us. And it just, there was a lot of limitations on MDT, and that's the reason why a lot of people moved over to SCCM or other utilities like Smart Deploy or PDQ deploy. They started using those type of utilities. But SCCM, SCCM itself is a full-time job. I'm gonna be straight honest with you. I sometimes find myself within my 9 to 5 job inside the SCCM console, like 75%, because I got to create packages. I got to make sure the packages are up to date. I'm messing around with ADR. ADR stand for automatic deployment rules. Got to make sure those things are running for your 365 updates or your Windows updates. That stuff is all automated. What else you're dealing with? You're dealing with cleaning up collections. You're dealing with deployments. You're cleaning up your task sequence. Majority of the time, you're going to be dealing with reporting, depending on who's your boss. If they like reports and stuff, you're going to be dealing with a lot of reporting, or you're going to be managing and updating a lot of packages and testing and deploying stuff out to your environment. So, but SCCM is a full-time job. All right. So System Center Virtual Machine Manager, my server is rebooted. Let's log in. Let's log in into it. True. Thank you, Flip. I'm definitely going to do that. I really want to give the person that created this script a shout out. I'll probably enter the information as, like comments on the script, but I definitely upload it to my repo so you guys can know where it's at. I don't want to say I made the script because I didn't, but I definitely want to give the person credit because they put a lot of work into it. I mean, there's a couple of there's a couple of lines inside that script that I would definitely steal, like the web request. That's a pretty cool way to actually pull stuff down. I like that feature a lot. All right, whatever. Okay, virtual machine manager server is up and running. We're going to right click on our virtual machine. Let's go to settings, and within settings, we're going to change the ISO image now to our virtual machine manager ISO. So we're going to click on open here. We're going to click connect, and let's click OK. All right, so that's mounted. Let's click on the file explorer. My bad. I didn't zone out. I'm actually reading some of the things that people are typing in the chat. I love when you guys chat. Flip said I used Smart Deploy and SCCM. I prefer SCCM in the enterprise environment. Yes, SCCM in the enterprise environment is great. But one thing I like about Smart Deploy is the way that they manage their applications. I just like the way it deploys it. It feels more seamless than SCCM, right? Because within SCCM you got to create the package. You have to have uh, the correct parameters for the MSI. If you're not using the MSI, you got the exe, and then you have to have, if you're using an exe file within your package, you have to have, what's that freaking thing that you have to create manually? The detection method. If your detection method is not set up correctly, there's a good chance that your package won't install properly. So that's one of the things I don't like about SCCM and dealing with deploying packages. Deploying Windows stuff, excellent. All right. So within our virtual machine manager server, I mounted the ISO. I'm going to right click on the D drive. I'm going to click on open. You're going to see the System Center Virtual Machine Manager _ 2022.exe file. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to run it as an administrator. Now, as soon as you do this, it's going to give you, I think, a dialog box like a wizard. And we need to select the location of where we want to extract our installation files into. So we're going to click yes for the user account control. And boom. We're going to click next here, accept the license and terms, click next. It's going to drop into the D drive, but the D drive is the DVD drive. So that's not writable. So I can't drop it in there. So let's click on browse. Let's go into C. Let's go into user. I'm going to click my user profile and I'm going to drop it into my desktop and then click OK. Excellent. Click next here, click extract, and you're going to see the folder here and it's going to It's going to start extracting all the files that's needed. Awesome. All right, again, we are watching paint dry. Ugh. All right, not installation, extracting is completed. So let's click finish here. We're going to close this up, and there goes the folder. Let's double click on the folder. Inside the folder, we are definitely going to see the setup.exe file that we need. So we're going to select it, right click on it, run it as an administrator. We're going to click yes here. Boom. Let's close the file explorer in the background, and here goes. We got install. Boom, install. And it's going to start preparing itself. All right, select features to install. I see your questions. I'm going to answer that question. That's a pretty good question. I've been wanting to do a video with that type of question for a while, but I'll answer it briefly. Select features to install. I'm going to select VMM Management Server. It's going to also install the VMM console. Let's click next here. Product registration, I am going to do BTNHD user. Organization is BTNHD. Product key, I mean, I do have a product key, but I'm not gonna use it here. If you don't enter a product key, it goes into eval mode for I think 90 or 180 days, which is enough for us to play around with and destroy it. Click next here. Awesome, accept the license and terms, click next. Diagnostics and user data, click next here. I'm gonna turn it off. Best practice is to leave it on, but it's up to you. I'm gonna leave it as the default C drive. Click next there. It's gonna start checking. Boom, everything passed except memory. Again, I have limited resources within this laptop. I'm using an X1 Carbon laptop. It only has 16 gigs. You know, this is like one of those traveling labs I want to play around with. So very limited. This machine only have 4 gigs, but it's a warning. It still allows me to install it with no problem. But the core requirement is to at least have 16 gigs or more within your System Center Virtual Machine Manager. So I'm going to click next. It allows me to continue. Database name. Automatically, it's going to, because everything is local, it's going to automatically give the server name SCVMM, which is also the database. Just change it to whatever database name it is. As soon as you click here, it's going to populate the instant name, which is great. It's going to create this new virtual machine manager DB. Again, I showed you guys earlier when we launched the management studio, we didn't have that virtual machine database. Boom. So we're going to click next here. For the domain account should have admin rights. So this is really tricky. So you got to make sure that, I mean, one of the big problems is having too many accounts within Active Directory that has domain admin rights. So you can either create an account designed for this part here or use one that's already configured. I'm actually going to use one that's already configured. So I'm going to use this guy here. Click OK. Provide the password. Awesome. I'm going to leave everything as the default. I'm not going to do the distributed key management. Click next here. These are all the ports that you need enabled. So make sure that your firewall is configured properly. You could create a GPO to actually have all these ports open within your infrastructure, but you need this stuff open properly. Within this environment, it's pretty dry cut. I mean, all my firewall settings are disabled. Not best practice. You should have your firewall enabled on all your within all your servers. but just make sure you have a GPO being pushed out to your servers that are opening up specific ports for things to work properly within your environment, right? Click next here. Everything as the default and leave it as is. Click next, and nice little summary, and let's click install. So that's installing the virtual machine manager. We're about, I would say, 90% done so far. Like, so far, what have we done so far? All right, so let's go over what we've done. We got 3 virtual machines that we're using. We're using our DC. We're using a server called System Center Virtual Machine Manager, or SCVMM, and we have our Hyper-V server. Now, our virtual machine manager server is also housing the database server. I know, not best practice, but because I'm very limited with resources, I have the database and the virtual machine manager server all housed in one server. For the Hyper-V server, I have Hyper-V installed, as well as the multipath input and output feature installed. We have 5 virtual hard disks, which is 5 gigs each. We took those 5 hard disks, we convert them into a GPT partition, and we created a RAID 5 software level RAID 5 partition for those 5 into our Hyper-V server, and we gave it the drive letter of V drive, right? That's a recap. So far, that's what we've done so far. All right, so let's answer a couple questions. Okay, blah, 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 blah. What made you start recording vids, bro? All right, so I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna say I started recording videos for you guys. No, I'm really not gonna lie to you and give you that BS. I started recording videos because of me. I used to document everything that I used to create for my 9-to-5 job or at home when I used to play around and test. I used to document everything within Word document. Then I noticed converting everything into the video was great because it's unlimited storage within YouTube. It helps others, and others that had the same problem will contact me and be like, "Oh, I did it this way," or I did it your way, but there was this problem, so I had to do this." And that kind of like built like a knowledge base. It was just my way to document my stuff. And believe it or not, I've actually have gone to my YouTube channel and used some of my videos to refresh my memory when I need to do things. So I started recording the videos from me, because the more you learn, you forget. So it's like you can always go back into your videos, and it's better than writing stuff down. I just feel like it, right? And it also helps out others. But I started recording stuff because of me, and I enjoy doing it. So that's my reason. Where can I find the script file? The script will be located within my GitHub repo location. I typically will post it up Sunday morning, and then I'll add the link at the comment section, and I'll pin it for you guys so you guys can grab a copy of it. I do have to fix the script a little bit because the script doesn't belong to me, so I just got to make sure that I give the proper shout out to the person that created it, right? And then I upload it. How has YouTube been for you lately? Do you think creating meaningful content on this platform has been slowly diminishing for you throughout the years in terms of viewership? Have you thought of it? Not really. I mean, if you start thinking about the views and you start thinking about the numbers and you start thinking about satisfying everybody that subscribed to you, it will stress you out. I don't see it like that. I really don't care about anyone's opinion, to be honest with you. For people that have provided negative and positive feedback on videos, and sometimes the negative is basically, "Oh, you shouldn't do this, or you should do this, you should do that." That's all good feedback for me, but I don't really stress it. I'm pushing out stuff that I want to push out. I'm pushing stuff out that I enjoy doing and I love doing. As long as I appreciate my material and what I'm doing, that's it. Done. You know, there's only one person that I need to make happy and satisfied in my life, and that's my son. That's the only person that I need to be happy of what I do and appreciates what I do. Everyone else, listen, man, you don't pay my bills. So I'm doing this because I love doing this. Plain and simple. I don't know about podcasting. I don't like podcasting. The live streaming, I've done live streaming before. Again, the server room is about 4 or 5 years old. I think this is like the third season, maybe the fourth season of the server room. I took almost a year and a half off, uh, because it gets stressful. You know, you're doing your 9 to 5. Well, it's not a 9 to 5 job for me. It's a 7 to 7 job. But when you're working your job and you're dealing with family, you're dealing with other things. Live streaming, I had to stop it for a bit. I was still able to create content, but the content that I create is offline, and I'm able to edit things slowly and then push it out slowly to the channel. But the live stream is really intense because you gotta find the material, you gotta find a topic, you gotta practice the topic, you gotta make sure the topic is configured properly within your infrastructure, and you have to test it, you gotta vet it, and then you gotta test it and vet it again, and then you're able to push it out. So yeah, so live streaming, I do like the live streaming, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Like you saw my live stream crash because of Windows updates. I would definitely love to have at least someone to monitor the audio and the visual and do the transitions. I'm doing everything on my own, so it's really weird doing everything on my own. All right. So it looks like we're still installing the virtual machine manager. We're just waiting. While we wait, I'm answering questions for you guys, which is pretty cool. uh, Brawler, yeah, Brawler, yeah. It's just chilling. I mean, it's just I do these live streams just to chill, man. This is like my weekend, you know. Um, Doing other things, taking care of business, household stuff, family stuff, being a father, need to do what you need to do. But the live streaming, when I'm doing live streaming with you guys, it's just me chilling. I'm not trying to impress and try to sell anything to you guys. It's just us being us, chilling for an hour, learning something new. If I mess up during the live stream, hey, let's fix it together. You know what I'm saying? We're all here to learn. You know what I'm saying? No judgment. Why? Why are you gonna judge? No one's perfect. No one knows how to do this off the bat. Everyone learns this somewhere, somehow. So let's just chill, relax, get a cup of water, get a cup of coffee, whatever, and just let's learn something new. All right, so we're still watching dry paint. It's crazy. All right, so let's go back to the chat. So, Brawler, good questions. You consider pursuing other projects instead of SCCM? Yeah, man, I've done MDT, I've done SCCM, I've done Virtual Machine Manager, I've done SCOM, I've done networking, I've done Proxmox, I've done Smart Deploy. I have so many projects. Have so many Windows 11, Windows 10 stuff. Um, there's so many things that I touch base. I think a lot of people want to define me to one particular area. People get upset when I start doing reviews on laptops or servers or desktops, and they just want me to just focus on MDT or SCCM stuff. I mean, that gets boring. I like to play around and juggle a couple of things in the channel. I love testing out laptops and producing reviews and unboxing for you guys because uh, videography is a talent, is a skill set that you learn as soon as you start doing YouTube. You learn how to mess around with audio, the audio equipment, how to capture things, how to record things, how to edit things. It's just another new learning experience. And again, my background is straight IT. So when I started doing the whole YouTube thing, I learned how to do Photoshop, Premiere, uh, working with Media Encoder, working with Illustrator, using After Effects, using DaVinci for coloring. I learned a lot of new things. So, you know, yeah. Flip, does your regular job know about your channel? Has that been an issue? Well, I think my previous job knew about it, right? This job also knows about it. That's how I got hired. Believe it or not, a lot of companies they search for me and they automatically would know. And when they search my name and they see the channel, it's like a resume. I feel like it's an online resume because okay, you got a piece of paper that you give the employer and it basically says, oh yeah, I've done SCCM, I've done MDT, and I did this and this. That's a piece of paper basically saying what you know how to do, but do you actually know how to do it? Now if you search me online, you might find like LinkedIn and whatever, and my YouTube channel pops up. If you click on the YouTube channel, you probably see all the crap that I've done with SCCM and MDT, all the stuff that I've written down my resume, and you see it and you watch the videos like, oh shit, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Well, sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but you know what I'm getting. It's an online resume. That's how I feel like my YouTube channel it is. Yes. My current and my previous last employers actually knew that I did YouTube and they took that into consideration during my hire process. So I was really grateful about the YouTube channel. So and there's no problem at all because I'm not advertising the job's logo anywhere, and it is what it is. But yeah, no problem. And yeah, the channel kind of helped me out because it was like an online resume for me. It kind of backed up my resume that I knew how to do things. All right, let's go back. It is still installing. Oh my God, it's like watching paint dry. It's crazy. Last time it did not take this long. So again, we are waiting for this to install. Once the installation is done, it's going to prompt, I think, an option to launch a README file and also to launch the console. So I think we're going to uncheck the README file and launch the console. Once the console is up and running, we're going to go into the section where it says host and we're going to add our Hyper-V host and we should be done. But right now we are just waiting. We're answering some questions on the chat. Thank you so much for those that are chatting with me and just making the live stream not boring, not watching paint dry. So I'm going to disappear. I'm going to mute myself. And if you have any questions, I will answer them. Thank you. Hello, hello. All right, so we're back. I think we're back. We're back, right? All right, so we're back. As soon as I got up to get some water or refill my cup, the damn thing was done, completed. Yeah, with warnings. I got a couple of warnings, and I think the warning was basically the memory. So, like I said before I left real quick, you got two options. Don't want to check for updates. It's not a readme. I thought it was a readme, but these are the two options. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for you guys to see. Check for the latest virtual machine manager updates. I'm not going to do that. And the other one, let's open the VMM console when the window closes. So we're going to click close here. We're going to close the installation part here. And it's going to launch the console for us. Yep, there it goes. It's going to launch the console. Awesome. Local colon 8100 is the port. If you are using a workstation, most likely you are going to install the virtual machine manager console into your workstation. All you gotta do is just put the server name and make sure you put colon 8100, and also make sure 8100 and those ports that were listed during the installation are enabled within your environment. You could use a GPO firewall to push out the settings. So we are going to click connect. So that's connecting. Let's go to full. And Flip said, have you done anything or looked into using AI within your field? Obviously, you probably have used Chat GPT, but wanted to get your insight. Yeah. So I've dealt with a couple of job sites that are looking into AI, uh, specifically with Microsoft Copilot, because Copilot is integrated with Teams now, PowerPoint, what else? Excel. So there's been a couple of end users that are really into Chat GPT or Copilot, and they want us to they want the IT guys to look into it to see if we're able to implement it. But Copilot itself is super, it's expensive, dude. It's like $30 per user, you know? And it's not part of the Microsoft 365 license, right? You're already paying like $22, $25 per head, right? Just to get the Office suite, Intune, Active Directory, the Exchange, all that stuff, OneDrive. You're already paying that much. And then you have to add an additional $30 to get Copilot. Microsoft got smart. They're getting smart when it comes down to making money, right? Like Teams itself used to be unlocked with so many features, and now they're limited so many of the features to the point that the features that you do need for your 9 to 5 job, you have to pay for it to get those features. But we are looking into it. For me personally, I use Chat GPT a lot when it comes down to creating emails or creating like communication emails that I need to push out to my 9 to 5 users. I like to use GPT to create a nice, you know, email for me. I'm not the best English speaking person, so ChatGPT kind of helps me out creating and starting an email. I just got to give them the topics, but boom, when it creates it, I just make modifications and send it. Done. All right. Let's go back here. All right, it launched. Beautiful. We have no hosts. We're almost done with the live stream. This is awesome. For the all hosts, I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna right click on it and let's click add Hyper-V host and cluster. We're going to select, well, it's already selected, Windows Server computers in a trusted Active Directory domain. You have other options, but I'm gonna leave it as the default. Click next here. Use an existing run as account. I am going to manually enter an account because we haven't created a run as account as of yet, which is okay. And you're able to do that if you want, but I'm going to enter one here. Beautiful. Let's click next there. Awesome. And let's give it hyper-v .btnhd.edu. I think that's the name. Oops. Let's go inside DC, and within DC, let's open up the Active Directory. I think that's the name, Hyper-V. Yep, that's the Hyper-V. Great, Hyper-V. Yep. Let's click next. It's searching for it. This is another thing that I've kind of noticed. So let's click OK. Typically, if I do not add the full qualified domain and I just add Hyper-V, it should pick it up, which is weird, right? I've seen in some scenarios when I did the full qualified domain in the discovery scope section, it picked it up. And for this instant, it did not like the full qualified domain. It just liked the name of the computer, but then it kind of produces the full qualified domain when it searches this. Weird. So we're going to click next here. I have no host group. Add the following path. So I'm going to do V. That would be the path, which would be the same path that we have within Hyper-V right here. So this is the path, V. And we're telling it the same thing, V. Select the virtual machine placement path, which would be V. The default location so virtually placed on the host. Yep, to add a new virtual machine. Yep. So let's click next here. Nice little summary. Click finish, and once you do that, you get this nice little wizard. And I don't remember. I feel like you might have to reboot your host. That's the only thing I don't like about doing all this, because you got to reboot your host. And if you got virtual machines on it, most likely you have like a cluster system, and you could just migrate those virtual machines to another host, and you could reboot that host. And then when that host is done rebooting, migrate the other ones and do the same thing, rinse and repeat until all the hosts are added and rebooted. So right now it's on 66. Pricing thing like AWS, do you fiddle with Linux? Yes, I do. I sometimes play around with Linux, not heavy like that. I am trying to do Kali Linux. The reason why I'm trying to do Kali Linux is because I like to do the penetration testing. I know one of my job sites, they pay for penetration testing. So if I could learn how to do the penetration testing and get certified to do penetration testing, that's something that I could do in-house. And yeah, I do Linux sometimes, but not all the time. All right, so let's go back here. We are at 99%. It actually jumped to 95. And it jumped into 99. So it looks like everything completed successfully. But like I said before, you need to reboot the host. It needs to be rebooted to complete enabling the network virtualization features. So it needs to be the reboot. Now, can you imagine you have production servers already up and running and you got to reboot this thing? But like I said before, most likely you don't have one Hyper-V machine or server. You might have maybe 2 or 3. If you have 3 of them, great, or 4 of them, awesome. So let's say I have 4 of them, right? And I just added this into my virtual machine manager. This has like a bunch of virtual machines. So what I would do is all the Hyper-V machines that I have, most likely they're into a cluster, right? I migrate all these guys over to the other nodes, and then to the point that this guy doesn't have any virtual machines, and then I'm able to reboot it. And then once it's rebooted, I migrate some virtual machines back into that rebooted virtual machine that was added into Virtual Machine Manager, and then I'll add the second node and rinse and repeat. So I'm gonna reboot this guy real quick because Virtual Machine Manager wants me to reboot it to finish it off. And then when we go, goes our server, and that is rebooting. Yeah, I've been planning to do some Kali Linux. I'm trying to do a little bit more on the channel dealing with Linux. I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of reviewing and creating behind the scenes. I'm just trying to figure out how I could form it in a video format so I could push it out to you guys. I have been playing around. Oops, sorry. I've been playing around with a lot of Kali and Linux administration and dealing with storage and networking and stuff like that. I just have to have the time. I actually have to sit myself down and talk to myself and like, okay, Bernardo, how can I form this in the way that it would make sense to me and I'm able to push it out in a video format? Because it's like, yeah, Windows and Linux, you know, Windows for me, I've been dealing with Linux, so it's like second nature to me. Linux, it's not second nature. I'm trying to learn. So trying to create a video format for that will take me some time. I do have that for, you know, in the future for the channel, but yeah, trust me, I'm trying to work on more Linux stuff so I could push it out on the channel. All right, so we're done rebooting. Let's log back in real quick. And we should be done for the live stream. Again, all the live stream that I've done so far, I've been downloading them and I create short clips of them, try to make them less than 10 minutes, and it just gives you the highlight. So hopefully this video, I'm going to trim it down and shoot it out to you guys as the server room clips because it's pretty long. It's already what, an hour and 16 minutes? Crazy. And we're almost done. We are almost done. All right, so our Hyper-V is up and running. Everything looks like it's up and running. Beautiful. Cool, 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 cool. I don't have any virtual machines, so, you know, for shits and giggles, before we head out, let's just create a virtual machine. Let's create a virtual machine. Boom, boom, boom. Use an existing virtual machine, VM template, or a virtual disk. I don't have none of that, so let's create a new virtual machine with a blank virtual hard disk. Enable nested virtual machines. I mean, I could if I wanted to. Nah, let's click next. That's test. I love BTNHD tests. Generation 102. It's up to you. I think Generation 1 does like BIOS and legacy. Generation 2 does with UEFI. So pick whichever generation you want. I think best practice is to pick Generation 2. For this, I'm just going to pick Generation 1. I'm not going to boot it or anything like that. I'm not going to install an operating system. I just want to create something just for the hell of it. So let's click next there. Awesome. And see, I got to be careful with this because I don't have a lot of space. So let's give it 5 gigs. Memory. Let's give it 128 megabytes. Dude, that's 128 megabytes, right? 128, 128. What's the calculator? Where's my calculator? It's too early to function right now. Divide. Wait. Got 64 times 2 is 128 gigs. Yeah, 128 gigs. I could give it 512. I could give it 512. I give it 128. I mean, it's an empty container. I'm not installing anything. I just want to create something. 5 gigs. Let's click next here. I don't know if it's going to create it because I'm very limited on resources over here. I don't have a lot of resources on this machine. So there's a good chance that it might not create the virtual machine because the Hyper-V manager doesn't have, it only has 2 gigs, bro. 2 gigs. Holy shit. That's bad. Ooh, pardon my French, but that's bad. So let's go back. Let's go inside the memory. Let's give it 64 megabytes. Give it half of 28. 128 is half. Or host, we only have that. So click on that. Click on that. I don't know if it's going to install. Select a destination for the virtual machine. Okay. We only have one host, which is this one right here. Let's click on next. I don't know what's going to happen. All right. Specify the location of the host for the machine. It's weird that it's doing C drive. Yeah, we want that. Click OK. Ah, that's strange. Add this path to the list of the virtual machine path host and click browse. Yep, that's the one. That's the one that we want. We want the V drive. Click next here. Oh, that working. For the network. Yep, that's 2. We're gonna leave everything as is. Click next here. Don't turn on the virtual machine. We don't want to turn it on. We can specify what type of virtual machine it is. We can leave it as, let's say it's a Windows 10. Why not? Let's say it's a Windows 10. All right, we're just testing it out. Let's click next here. A nice little summary. Start the virtual machine after deploying. We don't want that. Let's click on create and see what happens. All right, boom, boom, boom. This right here, this warning is what we did together when we added the virtual machine host. We needed to reboot. We did a reboot, did a refresh. It's actually creating the virtual machine right now. If we head over into our Hyper-V server and let's right click on the Hyper-V node, let's do a refresh. Oh, ugh, look at that. What is that? Let's zoom in into that. All right, you guys didn't see that? I'm not going crazy. There was an X, but our virtual machine is there. Cool. That's sexy. If I go into the File Explorer, I go in here, we should see our test.btnhd, our virtual machine, and it has the VHDX, which is the virtual hard disk. Whoa, disk. All right, so that's being created and it's completed. Done. Done, 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 done. Awesome. Nice. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. This is episode 72. So episode 72, all about installing System Center Virtual Machine Manager 2022 within Server 2022. Nice. So quick recap before we head out. What we've done so far. We install SQL Server 2022. We Inside our Hyper-V server, we install the Hyper-V Manager services. We install the multi-path I/O features within the server. We rebooted the Hyper-V server. We got the database up and running. We used the PowerShell script to actually grab all the installation files that we need for Hyper-V. I mean, not Hyper-V, for Virtual Machine Manager to install properly. So we got that stuff downloaded and within the PowerShell. The PowerShell script is awesome. It works, but for some reason it prematurely restarts on you. So you might have to rearrange it. I'm going to give it to you guys, but I just got to find the person who created it so I could give them credit. But what we did is just basically take all the MSI files in and the exe files and just manually did everything and then rebooted the server. Once we rebooted the server, when all the prerequisite files were installed, we mounted the System Center Virtual Machine image file into the server and we extracted the installation files and we started to set up the installation. We installed it, bam, everything was up and running. We added our Hyper-V server into our virtual machine manager and we created a virtual machine using virtual machine manager and it's up and running. That's it, done. It was an awesome episode. So hopefully guys enjoy. And that's it. I will, like I said before, I'm gonna say it again. I will provide the script that was used in this video. I just gotta find the person that did it so I can give them credit. And hopefully you guys enjoy episode 72. For those that have been chatting with me throughout the live stream, thank you so much. You guys made it you guys made it fun. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I catch you guys on the next episode. All right. So how you end this? Because I always forget how to end this. And is it over now? No, I'm just joking.